Welcome to Kim Talks Books. I'm Kim Hayden, your host. As we step into the quiet spaces between the lines, focusing on the vibrant author's journey, we'll explore the dedication, the inspiration, and the unique perspectives that these authors bring to their craft, offering listeners the profound reader's reward of discovering fresh narratives. So settle in, because our literary adventure with tomorrow's acclaimed writers begins now. Hello, David, and welcome to Kim Talks Books. I'm super excited about this conversation. I feel like we could probably have a conversation for 3 hours because most people will, if you've ever been on a show with me or you know me, you know that there was a 30-minute conversation beforehand. And I am excited because I feel like David has walked a very similar path, and he's just meeting David. It gives me so much excitement for the future of my life because I know that there's so much more to do. Welcome, David.
Well, thank you. Anything from Calgary is good news for me because I'm an expat, as you know, and a great hockey fan. Now enjoying some senior sunshine, as we say.
Absolutely. I will probably never be a senior sunshine because I look far better layered in a parka now at this age than I do in a snowsuit. So I'll probably be staying north. I do like to visit where there's palm trees, though. I do like to visit where there's palm. Whereabouts are you right now?
Well, I've been in Hawaii for the last 12 years and just recently moved to Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. And it's very good for my business. I happen to like Las Vegas. It's a fabulous city, lots going on here, and a wonderful place to be. Apart from the gaming, which it's the city of losers, they say, but not really. It's a lot of fun.
You know what,
Great
David?
stuff going on.
You just touched another point that we have in common. I lived in Las Vegas from 90 to 94. It's where I met my husband and how I ended up in Canada because I'm from Kansas originally. So, dude, how have we not connected? We have so many interconnecting paths. It's crazy.
I know.
So
Yeah.
this is going to be just everybody hold on to your hats, because when we typically talk about the author's journey, we're talking about 1, 2, and at times we, like over on another episode, we had a gal with 3 books. David, why don't you go through what you're on a mission to accomplish right now? And I think this explanation will very clearly define why people need to hold on to their hat.
Well, at 87, being married 65 years, I don't wear a hat anymore. Anyway, my publishing story goes back a long time. I've been saving for years. I had about 2.5 million words saved. I finally got to the point where I had to organize myself. And then I did take a class with Mark Victor Hansen, and he said, David, don't do one book. One book, you usually end up with a couple of hundred in the garage. You drop 3 or 4 grand to do it. You'll give away 10 or 20, and you maybe sell 10 or 20 as well. So he said, do a series. So I've always regret not being able to have my grandparents, the story of my grandparents who I never met, their stories, their lives, how they live their lives, and so on. And I became determined, especially one day I was talking to my 8-year-old grandkid son in Hawaii, and I was telling him stories, bedtime stories. And the reason we're in Hawaii, by the way, our son is 100% disabled Air Force vet, and we've helped raise his kids. The wife left him when they were 2 and 3 years old. So we've raised the kids. And the youngest one was saying to me, Papa, why don't you write all your stories down so we can read them someday? And that was the trigger point for me. So I'm creating all these books for my grandkids as a legacy. They will know all about the grandparents and have some serious bragging rights, because that one thing led to another. And not one book, not 2 books, not 3 books, but an entire Guinness World Record attempt this year to be the oldest author to publish the most books in 1 year. I've got 7 done already. I'll have another 7 at least by the end of the year. And my grandkids will have some serious bragging rights for sure. The books are a series. The first series is the Papa series, and that contains all my life stories. And I'm doing one specially for them, which is called Papa the Grandfather. I have 4 grandkids, and they will each have a 50-page section in the book dedicated strictly to them, with their stories, our stories, and the family stories all combined in a family legacy book, which will be fabulous for perpetuity, so they can, they'll be able to pass it down if they want to. I'm under no illusions about some of the stuff. Some of the books may end up in the bathroom in 4 pages. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. The fact is, I'm doing it, having fun doing it. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm just having fun really doing it. So, um, and I'll cover my recent books in a moment here, why, what I'm actually doing currently. So,
In your Papa series, I do have a question. Is this based on like decades? Did you like set up this series? So was it so would they say life is a reason, a season, and a lifetime? So everything falls into one of those three. When we look at the Papa series, is it around specific reasons, or is it around a season of your life, or is it more in the lifetime kind of journey? What tell me how you divided that up.
well, the first 3 are seasonal in terms of life. The first one, Papa number 1, is the boy in England. My life in England from age birth to age 15 when I ran away from home. Finished high school apparently, and then to Canada, uh, became a Canadian citizen. And so book number 2 is The Young Man in Canada, where I got married. And then book number 3 is The Businessman and Entrepreneur in the United States. Book number 4 is then The Entrepreneur, because I have a very strong entrepreneurial background, having invented products, patents, trademarks, all that stuff, and real stuff, down to earth. So it's a series, multifaceted series, I guess. There's going to be 5 or 6 books that'll be independent of all of that, including most recent ones, which are Gen Mar, which is generational marketing. Then, of course, the married book. I've got Married Forever, 65 years of marriage, the 4 seasons of marriage. And I've got the new one coming out called What Women Know About Men, emphasis on the word NO. That's a fun book, 10 chapters, a key word in each chapter, and the lady can then rate her man or men on a score of 1 to 10 to decide if she's making the right movements in her life. I feel strongly, I feel that women have been marginalized for decades. And since I was in the cosmetic business, I saw that firsthand. So I'm passionate about helping women overcome some of the obstacles, the stereotype obstacles that are in place. This is a very simple, fun book, really fun for someone to look at. And there's a workbook at the end. There'll be a journalized attached to it.
Awesome. You know what? I'm thinking that this book and being the entrepreneur that you are is like the perfect gift for any time one of your girlfriends falls in love and is ready to commit. Here's a book. Here's a book. Imagine, the lawyers may hate you because there would be less business. I just,
Yeah, or imagine
what was that?
that's that's fun. I mean, I could see there'd be contrary, there'd be opposing factors to the success of a book. I would hope that wouldn't happen, but there's enough going on. I don't think that'll happen.
So yeah, I love the fact that you're bringing all of your diversity together, right? Everything is coming together and guiding all of these uh, works forward. Um, I want to. So you talked a bit about uh, Mark Victor Hansen and how that pivoted everything you were thinking. Based on that experience, what would you say is the one piece of advice you give to somebody else that is in kind of that senior space, the sunset space of their life, and they have all this
Mhm.
knowledge? What is it from Mark Victor Hansen's experience that you would want to pass forward to others who are looking at doing a book or, in your case now, a series?
Well, that's an interesting question because I can give, there's lots of answers to that. Um, my specific answer is that by being exposed to Mark Victor, and I later on became running one of his programs, by the way, the Enlightened Millionaire program, which was fabulous. Um, what I learned from Mark was not so much the techniques of success, but it allowed me to release the brakes on my brain and scratch the barnacles off my brain to cut myself loose from the stereotype that I was taught as a kid and later on in years with the conformity of corporate life and so on. And there's a fellow by the name of Sir Ken Robinson. He's been a strong, profound influence in my life so far. Ken was knighted for by the Queen, of course, and a Brit. Lived in Los Angeles for a few years and passed away a couple of years ago. But Ken wrote some great stuff on how education, and it's part of the answer, by the way, I want to give you. Part of the we've been lied to, some of it innocently, some on purpose, especially on the industrialized side of the messaging that we get. The fact is that we're taught to go to school, get a good education, get a good job. Well, all of that's changing. The reality is, there's about 87% of the people don't like their job. Many of them are losing their jobs to the technology. And all of this leads to my answer for you. You have to be willing to dig in and say, okay, there must be a different thing I can do, something I can do differently to change my life. That's a pivotal decision. And most of the time, you have procrastination, which is, of course, the mother of failure. Procrastination will step in because of fear, conformity, non-conformity, or whatever. However that you read that yourself, you've got to make a decision. Hey, I'm going to do something different with my life, because if you don't take charge of your life, nobody else is going to. I use the rowboat of life as an example, a metaphorical example. But so, if you're in the rowboat of life, you're the captain of your ship. And what do you need to row to a rowboat? You need 2 oars. You better grab on both oars and keep control of your oars, because if you don't, you'll be going around a big circle, especially if somebody jumps in and says, oh, listen, honey, I'll help you for a while. And they get tired, sick, or die, or pass away, whatever. You have to take charge of your life, and you have to plan your future. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And that exposure to Mark allowed me to release a lot of that stuff. And from there, and I was a late bloomer. I believed all the corporate stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so there are a number of great books on that, by the way. Think and Grow Rich is a wonderful book. If you're ready to really read it and absorb it and react to it and take action. And taking action is another thing. Most people procrastinate.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I was the number one procrastinator.
Well, creatives tend to get distracted too. Like a lot of creative do it
Absolutely.
distracted.
Yes.
And I think he touched on a really, 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 really important piece that we all need to be very hyper aware of. You can no longer expect somebody else to be responsible for your personal economy. The world
It was
is shifting so quickly that if you don't understand how you, through your creativity and your expertise, generate revenue, be it as an entrepreneur, a small business, or part a corporation. If you don't understand that, you are going to be broke. Period. Point blank. There is no other way, because the division, I agree, the division of the job creation opportunities. There's a whole kind of middle management operation space that is going to be completely eradicated. It's going to be hollowed out completely. And all those people need to learn very rapidly what the value of their personal economy is and what their creativity and their opportunities are. And it's not going to be finding another job. It's going to be creating a new opportunity. I'm man, I this and your papa. Can you hold up the book cover of your papa? That you have 2 books that both reference. One is on the entrepreneurial, and one is on the Mar one. Yes. So you have so these are the so you have the entrepreneurial papa, correct?
Oh, this is entrepreneur right here. Yeah.
That's the entrepreneur one. Okay. So everybody who's in middle management and trained for that job, if you are a paralegal, your job is probably on the line. You need to go get that book. You need to start shifting your mindset. And you also have the new one that you just held up. The what was it? Economar or no? What was the other one? MAR.
Denmark?
Mar.
No, Denmark.
Hey, can you touch on
Generational marketing.
yes,
Generational marketing.
tell me a bit about this because this is fascinating. Fascinating.
Well, here's the kicker. I've been kicking around this for a long time, so it's not new. It's not new to me. I've been harboring this and keeping it kind of private, for lack of a better word. Um, I was in the cosmetic business for 25 years with Revlon and Lancome, and I saw firsthand the development of what's now my book. Okay, Revlon declared bankruptcy, a global company that declared bankruptcy few years ago. I think $3.7 billion worth of debt and $2.7 billion worth of sales. The banks came in and reorganized them, and they liquidated 2 point something billion dollars worth of debt. We know what that means. It's called write-offs. And in the process of all of that happening, of course, people got burned in the process. Estee Lauder, on the other hand, she was starting her business when I started in the cosmetic business. She has gone on to become globally famous and wealthy beyond measure. And they got their current, Estee started her little business, half ounce youth dew perfume, which to me then was smelled like a barnyard. But she promised that she would bring her beautiful line of cosmetics to other companies, including Macy's, Magnon's, Saks Fifth Avenue, and so on, which she did and became enormously successful because here's what she did. She got her first customers around age 35 or 40 with the fragrance, brought in a treatment line to match that age frame, and then went vertically and horizontally in product distribution and manufacturing. She now has from 9 to 90 for her customer base. She's never forgetting all of the generational ages, Gen X, Gen Z, so on, all the way through, capturing every age level, which is what most companies, many do not, some do. There are a few examples. As an example, Amazon is a very good example of what I'm talking about here, generational marketing. They've got it down. They've nailed it perfectly. I mean, as best as it could be. You've got the Harley Davidson as an example, a loud noise, but attractive to men, consistent message. You've got the big trucking companies who have the ego brandishing, male stuff. They love it. They keep it. They want their Kennys and their Mackies. They talk it. They live it. The Bass Pro Shops, as an example, they're another good example. And so there are many good examples, but there's hundreds of millions of companies that do not follow the generational marketing concept, which is losing them billions and billions of dollars. The lost revenue from not keeping a customer or knowing why you lose them, you'll never know until they're gone before you know. You have to be smart in doing the research to keep your customers in the loop. That's what this book is all about.
Amazing. Amazing. So before we move on to the overarching of what the reader's reward is, of being part of your journey. Before we move on to this, I do want to touch on your the name of the marriage book. It is
Married Forever.
I feel like that on a daily basis, but I don't think it's as long as
65 years in my case, and the 4 seasons of marriage. That's what the book is about, because marriage, like the weather, has its seasons. And typically, a marriage begins with dating, which is the spring. Everything is alive and well. Everything's fresh. And then you move into the summer, which is basically extends to kids, houses, mortgage payments, schedules, work, etc. And then you move into the fall where you're now watching the grandkids grow up. The house is paid off. You maybe not feeling as well as you did because you didn't take care of yourself, and you have health issues developing. And then you get into the winter which is where my wife and I are. We're enjoying the winter. I'm snow skiing every day. No, it's great because we're both healthy, and that didn't come without some planning. We're very healthy, and grateful for that, by the way. And a few little aches and pains, but nothing serious. And I think that probably my Guinness World Record, by the way, if anybody wants to beat my record, they're going to have to be 87 years old and 261 days to get started. And I really don't care if they beat me. I don't care. The kids will have some bragging rights, and that's fun. So, but yeah, this book is fun. It takes you through the 4 seasons, what to expect in each season, what to do about each season, and how to plan into each season ahead of the game before it all happens.
Amazing. What is the goal? What is the goal for the reader? Like when you sit down, all the books are so diverse because life is diverse.
Yes.
What is the reader's reward? What are you hoping that people get from your books in general?
Well, the first series of books is basically inspirational stuff showing that they can overcome some hardships in life. I have a little quote that says, "I aspire to inspire before I expire."
Love it.
And I tie that to go, be, do. Go where you want to go, be what you want to be, and do what you want to do. Unfortunately, there are many sociological constraints that prevent that from happening. Not that you couldn't make it happen, but we're kind of forced. We're that tug of war that I talked about before, the tug of war between should I, shouldn't I, and what will they say, and who cares, really? Nobody cares. So the readers can get from the various books information with the title, if they relate to the title, except for the first series. The Papa series is informational only, kind of fun. But the other ones are more serious. And if they want to learn something about married, then the married book is great. If they want to be an entrepreneur, they can get the entrepreneur book for sure. That is really good stuff. I know because I did it, and I'm living proof that it works. So, and I can brag honestly.
So, and right now in a world where so many people don't have mentorship is one of the biggest things that's been fractured since the pandemic in many industries and many spaces. And even before that, with the division that we've seen through social media, seems that mentorship is getting harder and harder and harder for young people to find. I was speaking to a gal who is in her late 60s, and she actually had been a lawyer her entire career, and she was just awarded in Canada with this big, like, recognition, Canadian recognition for her work, and when I interviewed her, the big thing is that the in the legal industry, up until the pandemic, there was always you would come in as a young lawyer, a junior associate, and you would be coupled with somebody that you could be mentored by, so you could grow and hopefully avoid some of the pitfalls. In life, knowing that we're losing this mentorship space because our workplaces are shrinking, we're seeing more division within families, we're seeing, fewer people, going to community engaged events or, religious things. Like there's so many things kind of going against the current culture for 30-year-olds. Would you say that Papa series and everything else that you're putting in could actually be in part a mentorship opportunity for people to learn from their elder, from somebody who's already walked that path?
Absolutely. I know for a fact they could take the entrepreneur book or the married book or the Gen Mar book and actually do what's in there. They would make it, no question. The challenge, frankly, Kim, is that there's a lot of slip between cup and lip. Okay, the fact is most people will not step off the curb and take a risk. There's an emotional risk. That's the biggest one, and it's usually fear related that prevents people from They talk a lot. There's a lot of big mouth frogs out there that, yeah, 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 but they won't do anything. And no discredit to them, because I know why they say that. Um, they're emotionally locked. And until they unlock that emotional chain around their brain, for lack of a better description, nothing's going to happen. So they have to have a pivotal moment of decision when they say, okay, that's enough. I'm done. I'm going to dig in, whatever it takes, I'm going to do it. Now, it takes courage. And there's a Spanish word that describes that, which I won't mention on the show here, but it's called um, a tough word. It takes courage to do that. um, and I know, because I've walked that plank myself, and it's hard. Uh, I have a lot of resilience because of my upbringing and the way I lived early in years. That was a great resource for me. I've been blessed, frankly. Most people don't have that, fortunately. But the unfortunate part about that is it's the opposite exists. So now they're scared to make a decision. They get locked into corporate life. They want to be vice president, and guess what? There's no future there. Sorry, but there is no future long term.
I completely agree. Um, you know what? I have to say I'm excited to see you nail that record, the Guinness record. I myself have only ever gone for one Guinness record, and it was um the largest gathering of people in dinosaur costumes. And it was such a large crowd, they didn't have the proper accounting for it, so then they couldn't actually issue the Guinness World Record. So, but I got to wear an inflatable dinosaur costume at a big giant block party with my grandkids. So
Grandma must have been really funny.
Oh,
Yeah,
it was
watching grandma.
There's like 360 people that showed up for this, and we were all down. It was in Drumheller, Alberta, which is the dinosaur capital of Canada, and it was hilarious. It was hilarious. But,
Yeah.
David, any final words, and can you tell us what your website is and how we can find you and follow your journey to crushing the Guinness World Record?
There you go. Well, my personal website is my name, davidselley.net.
Awesome.
And behind that site are 9 other websites, which I won't take the time to mention, but they're all listed on that site. That's the central site for all the things that I'm doing.
Amazing, amazing. So if you don't like your family anymore and you're sitting at a Thanksgiving table and looking for a great mentor, I want you to go over to davidselley.net and find a great mentor. Make it work for you. Until then, pick up a book. Explore other people's journeys and thoughts. You will find somebody you align with. David, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. It's been lovely being with you. Good luck to everybody. Take care.
Take care. Bye for now.